So you have students concerned, but not just students. They're not the only ones worried about this debt just increasing.
No.
It takes years and years to pay it off.
Yeah, and a lot of economists are worried about the overall impact of the student debt.
All right, Jeff is here to explain what some say could be happening next.
Well, our economy is still in recovery mode from the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009. And what got us there in the first place? It was irresponsible mortgage lending with a lack of oversight to ensure that borrowers could meet their payments on time. Now, Business Insider is drawing parallels to that crisis and another that they say is looming with student debt. Take a listen.
The lack of underwriting means that we're doing very little to ensure that the student will be in a position to repay the loan in the future. The lender isn't taking into account the school, the probability of graduating, the major, or the job prospects of the borrower.
So it's an interesting point, and they also point out that when that happens, delinquency rates rise, which is already happening with students as they realize that a degree does not mean guaranteed employment. Those delinquency rates have more than doubled in the past 10 years. However, the fallout from the student debt crisis will be different. Student debt is at $1 trillion. The mortgage debt leading into 2008 was $10 trillion. When a homeowner can't pay the mortgage, the bank repossesses the house. But when a student can't pay off debt, it's not like the lender can repossess a degree. So what's going to happen with this? It's a good question. And if you believe what Mark Cuban says, he says certainly the student debt bubble is going to pop pretty soon, but you're going to see a different impact on the economy than what we saw with the mortgage crisis of 2008. He thinks that colleges are actually going to go out of business because students are going to stop enrolling once they realize that a degree doesn't guarantee a good job. And with tuition staying high and enrollment dropping, he thinks it's going to have serious implications on colleges and universities across the nation. Meanwhile, the students who did go to college, who did graduate, may find themselves in a situation where they don't have a good enough job to pay off the $50,000, $60,000 or more that they borrowed, and they'll end up paying that off for decades.
It was interesting. There was a building, a UC Davis building, that was taken over by students about 5 years ago. Right. And I asked one of the young ladies, a student, I said, "Why are you doing this?" She goes, "Well, since I've been at UC Davis, tuition has doubled. I won't be able to repay my loan, and because of the economy, I don't have a job to repay the loan, so that's why we're angry."
Did you ask her her major?
I can't remember what it was specifically. It was 5 years ago, but I'm like, okay, I get that.
Well, but do you remember when we had the housing crisis, they tried to put blame on both parties because a lot of people were taking loans that they should have known better. They shouldn't. Yes, it was being approved by the financial institutions.
Two-way street.
And I would contend that a lot of students are borrowing extreme amounts of money.
Good point.
That they really don't need to do, you know, for a philosophy major or a history major, something like that. So it's on both parties.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
Responsibility, for sure. And also, I think different from when we were in college and definitely when you two were in college, you got to really think about your major now. What are you going to major in? The arts, the drama, world history. I mean, it's just different. What are you going to do with your major? You really got to think about it. When we were in school, we had the freedom, whatever you want to be, at least according to my parents. I don't know about you. Major in what you want to do.
Yeah, anything. For me, it was speech communications. But you went to a fairly expensive school, correct? You went to
I went to University of Georgia, but I was.
But I'm just wondering if you went to school now, if you would pick a community college over that.
Probably so, right? Because I just recently paid off my student loans.
Yeah, good luck getting into a community college too. Everybody's got that idea too. Go 2 years there, a little more affordable, and then transfer.
It's also the debate that you have. Do you want your child to get the experience of going away in a controlled environment, a dorm, rather than?
And that's what was my experience.
There's a lot of issues that you have to weigh.
Variables.
Right. Thanks,
but it's changed though. Things have changed.
Oh yes.
Okay.